Hey everybody, this is Karen with Food and Family, and tonight I'm going to make my chicken and dressing. So follow along with me. I want to get this made ahead of time. Thanksgiving's next week, so I like to make it ahead of time and put it in my freezer. I just like it better when I make it ahead and it kind of sits um, overnight, or in this case, about a week in my freezer. So I'll take it out Wednesday before Thanksgiving, let it defrost to Thanksgiving Day. All I have to do is slip it in the oven, bake it, and we'll have a wonderful chicken and dressing to go with our Thanksgiving meal. So I've got my cornbread crumbled up. I've got a 10-inch skillet, iron skillet, and a 6-inch iron skillet, and I made both of those with my cornbread recipe. Use your favorite recipe. So I've got it crumbled up and get it pretty fine, and it just seems to make better. So I'm going to this mixture, I'm going to add my onion, and I don't cook my onion ahead of time. I know a lot of people do. I don't see a reason to when I'm going to be cooking it in the dressing. It's going to all cook together anyway. So I don't know why I need to. So I don't. So I'm going to chop it up, not large, but not real fine either. I want to know that there's a little bit in there. So be careful cutting it up. Chop it up real good. I said don't get it too fine, but you don't want it in large chunks either. About, I don't know if you can see, that was a little big. I'll cut that up again. About like that, kind of nice, if you can tell. So I'm going to go ahead and put it over in there. I've got about a medium-sized onion, and I'm going to use all of it. So I like the way that little side looks. I'm going to cut it off. And it's burning my eyes, guys. My knife's real sharp. See, if you use a real sharp knife, it won't do that. And my knife is really sharp. It'll quit. So let's get that in there. And I've got a couple of stalks of celery. We like celery in it, but my family doesn't like a whole lot of celery. So I've just used 2 stalks, and I'm going to split it in like 1 stalk into like 3 little skinny pieces like that. And then I'll just lay that down. And I cut it smaller than I do my onions. So, and again, you don't have to cook it ahead of time. You can if you want to. It's your preference, but I don't. It cooks with the dressing. And now when I get this ready to bake this, I'll bake it at 350 for probably an hour. And it'll be golden brown on the top, and those edges will get crispy. We like the edges. And we'll make some gravy, giblet gravy to go over it. I could eat just that. So let's get that put in there. I keep losing it off my board, guys. And again, like I said, you can put as much celery as you want. And I'm going to get this last one diced up. It doesn't take but a minute. Then we'll add our chicken. I cooked a whole chicken. I bought a hen. Now, if you can't find the head, use a fryer chicken. I do that a lot. And you want a chicken, you can use pieces. That's fine too. I've done that as well. And but you want skin on, bone on the bone. It just gives it more flavor. You get flavor from that bone, and the skin gives it the fat that you need to make it delicious. So, see, I've got my onion and my celery in there. So, smooth that bit of the knife out of the way. So, let me get me a big old spoon here, and I'm going to stir it up. Now, I may add a little bit of salt. I'm going to try it, taste it after I get it mixed up, and see. Right now, I'm not. I put salt in my cornbread when I made it. I salted my chicken when I cooked it, the water to make the broth. And that's another thing. I made my broth myself. I put my chicken in my pot, in my big pot, covered it with water real good, and I added onion, carrot, and celery, and I salted the water real good so you get that flavor all the way through the chicken. So I've got my broth is salted, so I don't want to over salt the dressing. So I'm going to use poultry seasoning and sage. So I'm going to start out with about a teaspoon and all of this. Don't look like enough. Maybe a couple of teaspoons of sage and about that much in poultry seasoning. My daddy loved sage. My mother couldn't get enough sage in her dressing for him. It was too much for me. But he loved it. And so that's how she made it for him. And it was just one of those things that he just loved. And, we cook for them. My family don't like a whole lot of celery, so I don't put a whole lot of celery in it. So they don't like an overabundance of sage, neither do I. So I try not to put as much in it. Now, see, y'all see how it looks. You can see that. Oh, it looks so good. Now I'm going to pour my broth in. This, I want it in till it's really good and wet. I had probably, I don't know, about 8 cups of broth there. And I used almost all of it. I don't know if it's quite 8 cups. I used probably 4 cups. And get it all mixed up. Get it good and wet. Now, what broth I have left over, I will put in a jar, like a mason jar, and put it in my refrigerator. And so when it's time for me to bake this off, if it needs, I think it needs a little wetness, then I'll sprinkle some over it. Let me grab something real quick. I'll be right with you. I'm not going anywhere. I'm just right here. Okay, I need to get my chicken. Well, let me show you this. Here's where I cooked my chicken, and I picked all the meat off. Y'all didn't want to watch me do all of that. It's not fun watching somebody pick chicken. So we've still got some good meat left on there. So anyway, I'm going to set that aside. Now I'm going to add my chicken in. I'll probably add a little bit more broth. And what chicken I don't use, I'm going to save aside to put in my gravy. I didn't save the giblets. I'm not real fond of the giblets in the gravy, so I use the chicken, usually the breast meat or the white meat, and I just shred it apart real fine and put it in my gravy, and it's delicious. I've got to add a little more broth, so I'm going to have to make me some more broth to make my gravy with. I may use all of this, and that's all right. That is quite all right. What do you serve at your Christmas table? We're going to have ham. We love baked ham. We're going to have, one of my sons does a smoked turkey. This year we're just going to do a turkey breast. It's going to be a small gathering. And our sweet potato casserole. I've got a video of that. You'll see our dressing. And we're going to have some desserts. I've made pecan pie. You've seen me do that. If you haven't, go out and look for a video of it and see how I made my pecan pie. I'm going to add a little more. I am going to use all of this broth, y'all. Go ahead. Use it all. It's not going to hurt anything. All that bread is going to absorb it. You want it kind of wet anyway. And then when you bake it, it's just going to be moist and yummy. Now, you can if you want. I don't do it. My mother did. She added slices of white bread in it or crackers if you want to. It just makes it a little smoother, a little creamier. I don't do it. I like the cornbread. Move that out of the way. You can't see, can you? I like just the cornbread. My husband's grandmother, that's how she made it. She used poultry seasoning, and I kind of added the sage, but I just loved her dressing. So you rinse my hand a little bit, and I'm going to get a spoon and taste this and see if I need to add anything else to it. Remember, you can add to it, but you can't take away. There's nothing raw in here. When I cook, I learned this from my grandmother. When I make my cornbread, I put my eggs in the bread instead of having raw eggs in the dressing. Does it make a difference? I don't know, but it stays together anyway. I don't want mine as like a solid packed dressing anyway. So let's try this. Let's give it a little taste. I don't think it needs anything, y'all. I think it's got plenty of salt from where I cooked the chicken, and the salt that's in the cornbread. So I think we've got our seasonings just perfect. That was, I get that right the first time. So I'm going to dump this in a big bowl, y'all. Pour this into my casserole dish. Can you see that coming out there? Now that's a big dish of dressing. Look at there. Let's smooth it out. You see that chicken broth kind of puddling on the edges, and it's wet on the top, and I'll cover that up and put it in my freezer. Can you see that? If it wasn't Thanksgiving next week, I'd bake this off and let y'all see it, but I can't do it. So, but I hope you enjoy watching this video and you'll make my dressing. I said I don't have an exact recipe to give you. I think I did pretty well telling you how much I put in it. I used the big 10-inch skillet and a 6-inch skillet of cornbread. Crumbled it up real fine. A medium onion, chopped up, not finely diced, but kind of a small dice, not fine. I used 2 stalks of celery, cut up a little finer than my onion. You can use as much as you want. I used about 2 teaspoons of sage and about 2 teaspoons of poultry seasoning. And the broth off of the chicken that I cooked the whole chicken, salted it, added a carrot, an onion, and celery. Let that cook and let it cool so I could get all the chicken off the bone. And that's how I made my broth. Now I put it in my dressing. So I hope you guys enjoy this, and I hope you'll make it. And if you do, please drop me a line and let me know. Follow me. Please like and share my videos. I would certainly appreciate it. You can find me on Facebook, Food and Family. It's at Karen's Food Family. And also on YouTube, Food and Ensign Family. Just look up chicken and dressing and it'll be there. As soon as I get it posted, it will be. Thank you. Talk to you soon. Bye.